Hit the record button. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here for our after the seminar meeting. And this is in reference to the seminar that we had last week on public budgeting when Dr. Bland, Robert Bland from the University of North Texas Department of Public Administration was our trainer for that. Many of you know Patrick Shinkle is typically the one that does that seminar for us, and Patrick is in demand. As we all know, he's super good at what he does and audiences love him. And so he is here to do this after the seminar event for us. And we're so appreciative, Patrick, of your time and your expertise that you'll share with us. So thank you. Thank you. Patrick has been with the university since 2007,
right? 16th year, right?
Yes, that's unbelievable. And many of you know, Patrick and I go way back and to my time when I was in the Department of Public Administration. So we're great guy and we're happy to have you. Thank you. I will pose some questions that we got in advance to you. And I know that you've worked on some of these questions since you were able to get them in advance and have some links to answer some of those questions. So I will, as I pose the question, if there's a link associated with it, I'll put it in the chat so that everyone can reference that. And then if you all have questions, you are welcome to put them in the chat. We'll try to get through as many as we can in a limited amount of time. But so let me just go ahead and get right to it. One of the questions, would you share a bit more about sale of bonds or point me to the best resources to read? We've not done this with our city, but I'm curious if there's a class that goes into more operational information about this.
So what I posted, Amy, and kind of presented to you, and I know the link will go out there. This actually came from the Texas County Auditors Conference, and there was a very, very good presentation put on by the PFM group. We know them. They're well respected here in Texas. But it was a very, very thorough, but yet easy to read explanation on the debt process, debt players, types of debt. And so, you know, when you jump into that arena, I highly recommend contacting a firm like a PFM or Hilltop, or there's many, many firms out here that will assist you. But to get a financial advisor, an FA, they just use the term FA for the issuance of debt, and that's their job. They'll come out to the entities, they'll look at the criteria, they'll set up the ratings issues, the questions, and they're really there as your advocate and partner through the process of getting this debt through the system, if you will. And so I do know a few entities that attempt to do it on their own, and that's certainly fine if there's the expertise. But certainly if you're brand new in the arena for issuing debt, I would recommend reaching out to one of the financial advisory firms. So I gave the presentation out there. It's got a real good explanation on just the types of issues, the players, and I think you'll feel much more confident after just taking a look at that.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. The next question, would you explain a bit more about comprehensive versus off-budget accounts?
Yes. So the comprehensive, and if I recall what Dr. Blount was saying, comprehensive would be the ones that you normally anticipate. They're going to be your standardized budget types of issues. When we talk more about the off budget, that would not be part of the annual review process. And we give the example of grants or gifts. There may be circumstances where you have a partner you're working with that maybe has a different fiscal year, and so that would be set up typically outside of that budget cycle policy. That budget cycle, if you had one. I do think you should kind of have a policy for this. How we handle off-budget types of components and pieces. And I gave you an example just in the questions. We said that San Antonio is hiring 50 new police officers, and the hiring of those officers is pending from a federal grant. So the grant monies would be a good example of what we call off budget. Pending that grant approval and coming back to the city, San Antonio then gets the ability to bring in these 50 new officers. So think of it as maybe an additional funding or an additional party that would be assisting in this process for that off budget item.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. If you are coming into the meeting late, this will be recorded there. If you missed the first few minutes, you're welcome to watch that, see what happened with the Zoom link, and then hear the answers Patrick has for the first couple questions. All right, next question. There may be additional tools to help with the managing conflict, budget preparation policies when it comes to salary increases. And I think maybe the question is, are there additional tools to help with the managing conflict, budget preparations, and policies and that sort of thing?
Sure. So on that one, I actually reached out to Dr. Bland this morning. We kind of talked through this and kind of came to the consensus that these types of tools, when we say tools, would usually be set by the manager, city administrator with the endorsement of council. So these will usually be kind of what I'll call the administrative, tools, if you will, that are going to help in this process. So he and I both kind of defaulted to that and say maybe lean on or ask, of course, the manager, city administrators for assistance with those tools to help manage conflict.
Okay, perfect.
We couldn't find a link or anything, specific, like here's, multiple tools, because again, I think he brought up a really good point on the phone call. He goes, it's going to want to be something that, fits within the process for the budget preparation, works in conjunction with the kind of what the goals and objectives are going to be within that policy and the preparation for that. And then they'll want to have maybe particular ones that they want to choose over others.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, next question. Do court fees related to technology and security and other fees that are to be spent in a certain way need to be held in a special revenue fund, or can they be separated out and kept in the general fund?
Again, this was one Bob and I talked through this morning. We both felt that it would be wise to keep them held out. Certainly, if they're going to be expended and used for a very specific use like this, technology, security, and that way you get away from that possible funds being used for other areas, et cetera. So I think the best practice would be, yes, to keep those separate and to hold those apart. Okay. For accounting purposes and just for good record keeping, et cetera. And certainly if you start dealing with funds that are, again, outside funds like grants, et cetera, by all means, yes, please keep those separated. All
right. Next question. Do the M&O stay in the debt service fund account or just the INS? What if we don't have INS because we have no debt? Is that still kept in the debt service fund?
So on that one, M&O, maintenance and operations, is just going to be, just goes to your general, if you will, just a general fund. If you don't have any INS, then there would be no debt service for that INS specifically. And I think the question was brought up, the only INS money we receive is if someone pays older taxes than included a year that we had INS established. And in that case, under that example, then the answer would be yes. If you have those the debt service fund accounting there for the INS, then yes, you would put those in that older INS account that was established. So no upfront on the first part, but then yes on the example where you have older taxes where you had prior INS considerations. Okay.
Good, thank you. So I'll just one more time take a pause here and say, if you've just joined us in the last couple minutes, this is being recorded, and you will be able to go back and watch the first few minutes of this after the seminar question and answer time to see not only what happened with the Zoom link, but also hear Patrick's answers to the first few questions. If you have questions now, you're welcome to put those in the chat. I'm working off of questions that were submitted to us in advance, but if you have questions, you're welcome to put those in the chat. All right, what triggers an election in relation to the tax rate / budget?
Okay, let's see. Let me find this one here again real quick. I'm sorry. What triggers an election? Okay, gotcha. So I actually provided 2 links to answer this one back in a document I sent to Miriam, but let's see, do we have the ability to share that particular one, Amy? Can you share that first one, that first comptroller?
Yes, I just put the first one. Actually, I put them both in the chat, but the first one that I listed is the first one you listed.
Yeah, so that's a real nice kind of an infographic that will kind of show you those points on trigger. Let's see, let's see, am I able to, can I share that, or can you share that on the screen? Amy?
Oh, I see what you're saying. The actual wording where it says elections to approve. Yep. Give me just 1 second. Right here.
So there are 2 comptroller links there. One is that 98. Okay. Yeah, get that first link, the one up top, that 98.
Yes, that is in the chat. I see what you're saying. Okay, let me stop this share.
Yeah, pull that one up. I think that's going to be really helpful if they can get access to that and then kind of fall back on that. That's got some really nice the trigger points, if you will.
Okay. Yeah. Can you tell?
See if that'll come up for you. Hopefully it will. It may try to download it. If it does download it, then just open the download and share it. I think it's going to probably want to download it. There you go. That's perfect. This is going to be a great reference sheet for the triggers. And when you scroll down at the very near the bottom there, you can see then in the dark blue box, see that 3.5%. So that's what I know Bob probably talked about. And then it has the adopted rural tax rates, kind of the nice grid up top to kind of help and support you with that as well. But super piece for you to kind of see what those triggers are, the calculations, the terminology, etc. So excellent. Sorry about all that effort for just the one quick share. The part right below, Amy, if you want to just provide that, it talks about, and I just downloaded that from the controller's office as well, just the election and the process to approve the tax rate. It's got some good documentation there. And the controller's office is really good and thorough on really kind of walking folks through. And there may even be circumstances, if we don't know, we'll call them and confirm as well. But there's good information out there. And so we've given you a couple of really good links here to help and support you in that. And they have even sections on those links when you get down on the actual page of the comptroller's office that if you have questions, you can actually send in your questions and they will help you with it as well. Are you there, Amy? Can't hear you, Amy. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Well, Amy, I'll just walk through that stuff. Oh, okay. I just heard you.
Sorry.
Would you want me to go through that seventh question real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. It just says, what are the rules regarding the timing of public hearings for the budget and tax rate? Can the public hearing and the budget and or tax rate be held on the same date the budget and or tax rate are adopted? So again, under this comptroller website that Amy will and Miriam will make these available, we talk about, it gets into the hearing requirements. And as you, kind of scroll through this, it's got some very nice dates and reminders. It will include things like school districts, other types of entities, but your information for your entities would be as well. And we do highlight just the governing body may adopt the tax rate at that hearing. If the governing body does not vote on the proposed tax rate at the public hearing, the governing body must announce at the public hearing the date, time, and the place of the meeting at which it will vote on the tax rate. So to answer that second part of that question, the answer is yes. So you can do them. So, and I think that was all of them, Amy. I think we had online. If there's any more, I'll try my best. If not, this was fun and easy. Sounds like you had a great conference. So,
and we did. It was a very good conference. Miriam, you want to mute yourself? So that is all the questions. I'm not seeing any more come through the chat. Okay. And like Patrick said, he did write out the answers to all of these questions and provided the links. And so I will put those as a link in the meeting so that you'll have that in the recording and make sure that gets out to everyone so that you can access that. If there are no other questions, we will in the meeting, I'll put the link after I finish the meeting. I'll put the link in the chat to the web document or the Word document that Patrick provided so that it's contained right here in the meeting when you watch this.
And if something pops up later, a week or two down the line and you think of something, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to support and help you and obviously support TMCC. So, as far as organizations go, we're here year round. So it doesn't have to be just one Zoom session. So if you see something, need something, have a question, please lean on us and we'll do everything we can for you.
All right, very good. And I do see the question there. Could you provide these links in an email? If you want these links, I'm going to put my email address. Would you email me? Because I hate to send out an email to the whole membership again about this meeting. So if you want the links, absolutely send me an email and I will get the links to you. And like I said, I'll put this web document in the chat as well. So you can absolutely get it back through there as well. And you can click on them right now and open them in your browser and save them. That's another good way to do that. So I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you all.